Hello, and welcome to Sideways. Well, it's very foggy out here this morning, and you can scarcely see your hand in front of your face, which means seeing two dogs running off in the distance is distinctly challenging. Anyway, this week we're talking about a neuropsychological condition that creates difficulty in identifying and expressing emotions. Predictably, though, we become sidetracked at the drop of a hat and find our way through the vagaries of seemingly arbitrary dress code, recall bygone days when smoking and drinking in televised sport was the norm, hear about the potentially life-threatening risk posed to an obese hedgehog, and wonder whether the highest setting of the heated seats in your car is ever really necessary. Alexithymia.
Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Cold, isn't it?
Very. -5, apparently.
Yeah, in fact, it showed up -5 in my car this week when I jumped into it. I thought, my God, I've never seen it that low.
Yeah. We're virtually in the Arctic Circle.
It's a new ice age, mate, isn't it? Yeah, so anyway, we don't need to talk any further about the weather, apart from, I
don't suppose you've been out in it today, have you?
No, crikey, no, I hibernate. You know, this time of year I don't like. I sort of I go out less and less as the weather gets colder and a bit more savage.
Well, I've been over to Bearsted this morning, walking in the Woodland Trust.
Was it crisp?
It was glorious.
Was it?
I mean, it's chilly, sure.
Yeah.
You wouldn't want to go in your shorts.
No, you wouldn't have flip-flops.
Although you still see people out in shorts in this weather, don't you?
You do, yeah.
Yeah.
You often see Newcastle United fans standing on the terraces with no tops on as well. It's a sort of a macho statement, isn't it?
It is, yeah. A bit ridiculous, though, isn't it?
They're crazy.
I mean, you've got to be cold, haven't you?
You've got to be cold in that situation. But rather than just keep banging on about the weather, as we're British people and we're supposed to do that, I wanted to talk to you about this. There was a word I came across recently I'd never heard of. So I became more interested once I discovered what it meant. And that word is Alexithymia.
Yeah.
Have you come across that before in your work? I'm sure you had, which is...
Yeah, I certainly see a lot of evidence of it in my work, yeah. I don't know, I wouldn't say it's a word that's used particularly often in therapy, but yes, the definition of it certainly comes up a lot.
Yeah, and that's right. I mean, it's got a distinct relevance to those who've got addiction issues, which I'll go into later. But I found that you can't say the word too much around your smart speaker because it throws up all sorts of weird...
Does it?
of weird responses.
I suppose, yeah, because it sounds like Alexa, doesn't it?
Exactly.
You'd be all right if you had a Google smart speaker.
You'd be all right then, wouldn't you? Yeah. Or if you've changed the name of it, because you can change it from Alexa to something else, can't you?
Oh, yeah. But if you had a Google speaker, you wouldn't be able to refer to the Goo Goo Dolls too often, would you?
No, I don't expect you'd want to.
No, true enough.
But anyway, before we start getting into the meat of it, there's a headline I quite liked, which was World Chess #1 quits tournament after refusing to change genes.
Yeah.
Did you read about that?
Well, I didn't read about it. I saw the headline and I didn't read the report, so I'm quite pleased you're filling me in.
Well, it's that really. It's that he was. I think he was going to go and change them, and he said, "I'll change them after the next round because I'm all ready to go in now and crack on with me." A guy called Magnus Carlsen. He's the current world #1.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Which I'm sure you're aware of.
Well, actually, I wouldn't have been able to tell you he was the world #1, but I certainly would have been able to identify him as a chess player.
Yeah, but I think he just stuck to his guns in the end. So rather than go and change, he just said, "Right, I'm going." That's it.
Why was he asked to change his genes then?
There's a certain protocol.
You're not allowed any genes, or you're only allowed Levi's?
Not any genes at all, apparently.
Why?
Those are the rules. I don't know. It's probably a bit like the old. Remember, if you ever tried to get into a nightclub in the 80s.
Yeah.
They say no jeans, no trainers. That was it, wasn't it? No one. You were turned away at the door.
Yeah, that suited me though, because I didn't want to go into any nightclubs.
No, I was never big on nightclubs, but if you did try and go in, I liked them for a late drink.
I was going to
Obviously.
say, yeah, that's a bit rich coming from you. You loved a nightclub because they'd stay up until 2:30 in the morning. You'd be caning it.
Yeah, that was the only reason I used to go into them. But yeah, that was the dress code, and obviously the chess. I don't know if is there a chess association.
Surely that's a dress code for the sake of having a dress code, isn't it? I mean, what difference does it make what you're wearing on your legs when you're playing chess?
Well, the same as you're going into certain nightclubs in the 80s, I suppose. It didn't make any difference to the person.
Well, it was stupid then.
It was stupid then.
Why hasn't the world moved on and recognised that it's all right to play? I reckon, I don't know what you feel about this. I think you should be allowed to play any professional sport dressed in whatever way you choose.
Quite, yeah, you could do. Yeah, suit of armour on the football. Actually, a suit of armour on a cricket pitch would be quite handy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Perhaps not with team sports because obviously it'd be difficult to establish who was your teammate from the opposition. But certainly with things like, tennis or snooker.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous that they have to wear evening dress and all that rubbish. It's absolutely nonsense.
Exactly. That's another one, isn't it? You couldn't go on the bowl up wearing jeans and go on the telly with that when you're playing snooker.
I reckon you should be all right in a trackie on there. I tell you, it's ridiculous because you have to wear smart clothes to wear snooker. But all through the years we were growing up, you could be drinking lager and smoking fags on there, which is much worse, surely.
I remember going to because when you used to be able to smoke indoors, I remember going to the tennis. At Wembley Arena, and you were allowed to smoke indoors. Well, it was sponsored by Benson and Hedges, so they were quite keen for you to smoke indoors.
Yeah,
they virtually insisted.
They got involved in the snooker and the cricket.
They did.
They were all over the place, weren't they? Peddling their filthy wares.
You look back on it now, wonder how they ever got away with it. But that was the rules at the time. So rules do change. You can go. I
saw a little clip the other day of the Embassy darts from the 1980s. Jockey Wilson was playing. And just before the beginning of his leg, he put a cigarette in his mouth and his opponent gave him a light. I mean, that's sportsmanship, isn't it, for you?
It is, yeah. Yeah, they always had the pints lined up on their table, didn't they? Sinking a few.
Yeah, and they as they were at the hockey, they'd have a cigarette in their hand whilst they were throwing the arrows. Those were the days.
Bygone times. Yes, I quite liked that anyway, just because it threw up this image of nightclubs in the 80s. But I also liked a story about an obese hedgehog. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't see that one. No.
Yeah, apparently he was living in the wild, but it turned out that he ended up being too fat to curl up into a ball, so he couldn't protect himself from predators.
We all know people like that, don't we?
Well, we know people like it. Yeah, I didn't know hedgehogs couldn't self-regulate when it come to eating. So apparently he was taken in and looked after and put on a
diet.
Yeah, well, it was a portion-controlled diet of a mealworm or whatever they eat, and got him thin enough to go back out into the wild so he could curl up when predators were about.
God, I bet he was fuming about that, don't you?
Well, being forced to go on a diet, yeah, he probably liked it. He probably felt cold with it when he shed some weight.
That's a kind of interesting philosophical question there, isn't there? Would he have been happier having a shorter life, but eating with gay abandon, and getting caught by a predator because he couldn't curl up, or would he prefer to be, forced into a more regulated dietary regime and have a few more years, but only snacking on berries once in a while?
Do they hibernate? They do, don't they?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
So he wouldn't be able to hibernate. He wouldn't be able to curl up to hibernate either. So he'd have to stay.
So that'd be the end of him, wouldn't it?
He'd have to stay awake all winter when there's nothing to forage.
Yeah, that's no good. You shouldn't put bread and milk out for hedgehogs, by the way.
No.
That's a myth.
We used to in the 80s when we weren't allowed to wear jeans into nightclubs. We were also putting milk and bread out for hedgehogs.
We used to feed the ducks bread as well. You're not supposed to do that either.
No. We did a lot wrong in the 80s. It's amazing we actually survived.
Yeah, I used to give remember Toby, my dog, I used to give him Rolos. You're not supposed to give chocolate to dogs. Not supposed to give chocolate to dogs. He used to like a Rolo.
Yeah, I know, but dogs that I heard someone recently who I work with, their dogs nicked a load of Christmas tree decorations that were chocolatey and ate them all, and they were fine. So,
Well, they're probably fine because the proportion of cocoa solids in Christmas tree decoration chocolate's probably minuscule.
close to zero, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause it's the cocoa that hurts them, isn't it? I don't suppose the sugar and the fat is, obviously it's not very good for them, but I don't suppose that'll cause them any
No.
danger.
They didn't have to rush straight to the vets, that's for sure.
If you give them a bar of green and black's 80% cocoa, I don't think they probably wouldn't fare quite so well.
They'd drop to their knees as it's on the tongue, yeah. Anyway, should we look at alexithymia?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
We do. It's known as, you probably come across it and probably call it, I suppose, emotional blindness.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever used that phrase, but I actually call it emotional illiteracy.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, because it's more than just sight, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah, because it's just like I feel as if it's a manifestation of an unfamiliarity with the identification of emotion, isn't it? You don't know what you're feeling really a lot of the time.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I was trying to think of when I was reading up about this and doing my research, I was trying to put people I know into certain categories and see where they had it. And when you think about it, there are people that I know that potentially would have this. Well, it's not a condition. It's not really. I don't
think it's diagnosable.
It's not diagnosable. No, it's but people that perhaps have this personality trait. And yeah, and I could think of some that do. Can you hang on just one sec?
What happened there? Did you have to go and have a poo?
Just had to turn, my heater was making me too hot in here. I'd have got
yeah. You don't want that.
But no, you don't. I like to be warm, but not overly roasting, especially in these conditions.
You like to be temperate, as my dad would have said.
I like to have a temperature-controlled room. Anyway, where were we?
I don't know.
Yes, several factors that can bring it into play. In broad terms, genetics seem to play quite a large role in this.
I didn't know that. That's new. I didn't know that.
Yeah, past experiences.
Definitely.
Certain medical conditions.
Like?
Well, it tends to be neurological conditions, so brain injury, for example.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes, I suppose that makes sense.
So that would bring that into that. And I reckon about 10 to 13% of the population have this trait. With more men than women experiencing it.
Yeah.
And as you say, it's not a mental health disorder because there's no clinical diagnosis, although it does tend to appear in conjunction with conditions like people on the autism spectrum.
Yeah. Yes.
That seems to be heavily linked there. Depression.
Yeah.
PTSD.
Yeah.
And yes, there's things like brain injury.
Just thinking about the autism point, I think the autism one's interesting because there's, historically been this idea that autistic people don't understand other people's emotions, but I don't think that's right. I think there's a thing called the double empathy problem in autism research, and it's a kind of illustration of how actually autistic people understand other autistic people very well.
Yeah.
And neurotypical people understand other neurotypical people quite well. But where it becomes more difficult is when autistic people are trying to understand neurotypical people and neurotypical people are trying to understand autistic people.
Yeah.
So I think it's not so much a deficit of understanding, it's more of a difficulty in trying to understand people who aren't necessarily like you.
Yeah, I can understand. That makes perfect sense. And I think I'll touch on the link with autism later on.
Do you?
Well, only briefly, but it was right to bring it up at that point because I mentioned it, and obviously it's an area which I know you've done research in yourself and know what you're talking about.
Well, vaguely,
roughly. But it's quite the reason I think it's relevant to the addiction and recovery community is because there's an old saying in recovery that the good thing about recovery is that you get your emotions back. But the bad thing about recovery is that you get your emotions back. And you could say that those people that are still in the madness are showing or displaying various degrees of alexithymia. Is because it is you emotionally flatline when you're in the
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you were talking earlier on, weren't you, about how previous experience sometimes is seems to be a trigger for it. And so, sometimes people's response to, for example, a traumatic emotional experience, or growing up in an environment where emotion doesn't seem to be a valuable currency.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you learn, it's not really worth me showing emotion because I either get punished for it, or it's ignored, or it makes things worse, right? Then I think what people do then is they learn to rely on pragmatism and logic.
Yeah.
And if you do that to a great extent, then you kind of lose your ability to understand the nuance of emotion. And then you end up, perhaps one day in therapy, not being able to tell the difference between this feeling that you have and that one. Or you might be able to say, yeah, I recognise when I'm happy, but you don't necessarily understand the nuances of happiness. Do you know what I mean?
I do, totally, yeah. And I think what I found quite interesting was the fact that alexithymia and addiction seem to have similar fertile grounds in which they grow,
Yeah.
such as genetics and your environment. And certainly things like PTSD and depression. Out of that, the alexithymia can grow, as can addiction issues. So it's not surprising that they can run in parallel, but also they'll cross over and affect each other. So I found that quite interesting. The more I read about it, I started to read too much about it in the end. I had to.
Can you read too much about something?
Probably not. No, but I was getting myself wound around in circles. So it was, and I would go off down a rabbit hole. A bit like when you watch a YouTube video and then it goes on to something else and it goes on to something else, and you end up looking at something totally different to what you first started out with. And that's what's happening with this research. So I had to rein myself back into the arena. So where was I? Yeah, so difficulty processing, describing how you feel. I mean, obviously that's work you do, isn't it, with people if they're in that area? Is that a lot of your work, or is it? I
wouldn't say it's a lot, but quite often it's not unusual to find people who don't. Well, as I said earlier on, who kind of either don't recognise their emotion or they've learned not to trust it, so they don't kind of operate in emotional terms. Sometimes it's interesting if you ask. I mean, there are lots of theories about how many core emotions there are, but there have been lots of times where I'll ask someone if they can identify the four core emotions, and a lot of the time people can't. And interestingly, it's also quite frequent that people might identify three, but they'll miss one, and the one that they can't identify might indicate something to do with what they have a particular difficulty with. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. And I remember you asking me that question in the past.
And what did you say? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I think I got 3 out of 4.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember now, but I can't even remember what they are now. But it was something that maybe you tested.
Well, they're happiness, sadness, fear, and anger.
Right. Okay.
So if you can imagine, if someone can identify, let's say, happiness, sadness, fear, it's then quite interesting to explore anger. What have you seen? What have you learned about anger? It might be that is an emotion that they steer away from conflict because they've never necessarily seen anything good come from anger. So it's not always the case, but quite often it's indicative when someone's got a kind of blind spot about a whole emotional palette.
Yeah,
it can be quite indicative of something connected to their presenting issue.
Okay. So that could show up in one of the panes in the Johari window then, really, if you're looking at that.
Yeah, it could indeed.
Which we'll go on to on another occasion, I think, the Johari window. I've always found that quite interesting. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm surprised you haven't cobbled together an episode on it.
Well, yeah, I deal with it quite a lot. I have to present it at work quite a lot, so I've sort of left it on the back burner, really. But we will do that at some point, I think.
Good plan.
Now, apparently people with alexithymia also have trouble, or they're not in touch with their physical sensations that accompany emotions as well. Things like, a tight chest when you feel angry, and they also appear to be. And I'm trying to think of I've got a couple of people in mind, and when I think of these people, I can relate to this easier. But they tend to be humorless and distant and sort of rigid.
I recognise that, and I find it quite affecting, quite sad.
Yeah.
So if you say to someone, so this comes up in therapy a lot. So someone might identify that they feel fear or they feel anxiety. Although some people will say they feel fear, but they never experience anxiety, which is interesting because they're kind of the same. And then if you say to them, where in your body do you feel that? It's like they can't locate it. It's like they don't know. So that's that kind of dislocation between emotion and the physical sensation is kind of another way of avoiding experiencing it. Because we all know, don't we, if we feel anxious, we do feel it in our body.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you do.
Feel it in your stomach, it makes you feel sick, or makes you feel hot, or you feel it in the top of your chest, or it makes your heart beat. So if you're saying, I do experience anxiety, but don't feel it in my body, it's like it's like there's something, you're blocking that emotion from your ability to kind of really experience it.
Do you think people like that are suffering with this condition do have sort of limited emotional vocabulary, so they can't express it? They don't know the words to express how they're feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a exercise that I do with people sometimes using a feeling words list, and it's this bit of A4, and it's just got loads and loads and loads of ways of expressing different categories of emotion. Mm. And if you say to people sometimes, we'll have a look through this list and identify the emotions on there that you recognise having, that can be quite informative because you sometimes find that there's hardly anything ticked off. Or you can say to them, are there any emotions on here that you feel you're not allowed to have, which is similarly informative, because it might be, going back to the point we were talking about before, it might be that they've grown up learning that they mustn't show anger or they mustn't show sadness.
Yeah.
So they'll mark these emotions off and they say, I'm not really allowed to have these. And of course, if you've grown up believing that you're not allowed to experience an emotion, then you will press it away, you'll repress it.
Yeah, quite.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yes, I can relate to that myself. Being told not to cry when you fall off your bike and that sort of thing, a man up sort of thing. Yeah, that was always a suppression in child. It was only now, when you look back on it, you realise that it was being suppressed. So
do you think, so when you recognise that from your own childhood, can you also recognise the ways or the situations in which you might have held back from expressing emotion?
Yeah, all the time, yeah. It's okay now, but certainly back in the day, it was something I was, suppressed throughout my sort of youth and probably, most early adulthood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Until I started to drink loads of vodka, and then it changed.
Did it? Well, surely it was after you drunk loads of vodka that
it was, yes. Going into recovery, suddenly I've woken up. I'm version 2.0 of myself now. Yeah.
So when you were in recovery, so just taking sadness as a kind of broad emotion.
Yeah.
Was that something that you sometimes felt overwhelmed with?
Oh yeah. Certainly in earlier recovery.
Because you hadn't really experienced it openly.
No.
Probably all of your life until then, had you?
No, I hadn't. No. Yeah. And it wasn't, which is why, and I think I'm not alone in that. I mean, as we said earlier on, you emotionally flatline when you're in the madness. So, which is why so many people cry when you're in group. You can sit there, you can set each other off, but all
grizzling.
Of a sudden, grizzling, yeah. But it's not only if you learnt that to express your emotions, but expressing it in a group as well, which is even more difficult sometimes. And that was the area that I was told not to express my emotions in.
Yeah, don't show other people how you feel.
Exactly. Yeah. And we've got slightly off topic there, but
that's because it's interesting.
It's all relevant, isn't it?
Yeah.
So going back to that running in families, because they did a study on identical twins, and it showed there may be a genetic predisposition to the trait. So they have done research into that to see where from whence it comes. It's all part of the the making up of someone that has addiction issues and making up of someone that has this condition. So it's a part. It plays a small part in it, I think, doesn't it? Or plays a part in it. I know in addiction it plays a massive part, but perhaps not quite so large here. But it is the environment, I think, and childhood trauma seem to come up a lot, or an abuse. And again, there are people with neurological injuries.
Yeah, I mean, childhood trauma and abuse is what we were talking about before. You know, if you've been abused as a child, you will have learned strategies to keep you safe.
Yeah.
They won't involve showing emotion.
No,
for
quite.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you almost certainly have grown up believing that any show of emotion puts you in danger. And what people then, when you get into adulthood, and people find this kind of difficult to embrace the notion that something you learned as a child, you'll still be relying on in adulthould, when you can logically see that it doesn't make sense. But it's very hard for us to shake those beliefs that we develop in childhood.
And I certainly, again, I can relate to that, because it's relationship issues, isn't it? You know, it seriously affects those. And looking back, I could see how much of a closed book I was, which is why I was rubbish at relationships for so long. But it's having that to the benefit of hindsight and that, isn't it? But I certainly related, when I was doing this research, I related to a lot of this.
Yeah, that's right. Because if you're a closed book in a relationship, then no one can get close to you. And if someone can't get close to you, you can't either feel or offer love.
No, you don't. But it's sort of my descent into the madness, I think, was partially due to this as well. When it was, I was focusing rather than on my internal state, I was pushing that to one side and focusing on other things, like being obsessed with work, for example.
That's exactly. I mean, that's classic, isn't it? That's what people do.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. That's
why people go travelling, to find themselves.
Yeah. Because
they don't want to acknowledge what's going on inside them.
No, quite.
And they don't need to do any travelling to find yourself, because you're right here.
Yeah. But it's the gap year scenario almost, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I've got to get away to find myself. Well, you probably don't need to spend that money, just to a bit of contemplation.
But this particular trait also has been linked to people with eating disorders, which I found quite eye-opening. It touches, again, post-traumatic stress, depression, anxiety.
I mean, that makes sense, because it's self-harming.
It does make sense, yeah. I didn't think about it at the time, but when I was thinking that,
Because if you think about what people traditionally think about with self-harm, cutting, or, whatever, and you think about eating disorders in a similar way, that's a harmful self-inflicted behaviour, same as alcoholism or drug addiction.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're finding a way of feeling something, just because you can't feel what you need to feel in a kind of natural way.
Mm.
I mean, you think about addiction. I mean, I don't know. I've not been there, but from all that I know about it from you and from people I've worked with, addiction creates its own kind of variance of emotion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You might have the kind of the feeling of wanting that drink and getting that drink and feeling the relief, and then you might have the kind of terrible come down afterwards, and you think, I've done it again, or whatever, perhaps in the earlier days of your addiction. So you're still having that kind of boom bust emotion, but you're experiencing it in a kind of a completely separate context.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you do have them. It's mainly rooted in sadness. And
but at least it's helping you feel something. That's it.
It is. Well, exactly.
It's allowing you to feel something.
It's allowing you to feel fear as well. Fear.
Yeah, because with emotion, there are lots of different ways of you being able to experience an emotion: fear, sadness, happiness, whatever. But they're not all constructive. Sometimes the way that you're allowing yourself to feel that thing is very destructive to you, which is the example you've just given.
Yeah.
My way into feeling sadness is drinking.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but that's not a very helpful way for you to feel sadness, is it?
It certainly fast tracks you there, that's for sure.
Yeah, and will probably keep you there.
And it'll keep you nicely surrounded by fear. Yeah, the fear of running out of drink and drugs. Yeah, that will you'll express that, or the fear of the shop not opening on time.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. Yeah, all rooted in very negative territory. But again, just looking back at the autism spectrum disorder, can we call it that, ASD? Again, they've done research and comparing it to people that are on the spectrum compared to the general population, and it concluded that the emotional processing difficulties in some people with autism can be influenced by alexithymia, and potentially the other way around as well. But certainly they seem to go. I'd say they're happy bedfellows, but they certainly can run alongside each other and not mimic each other, but they'll have similar traits. So looking at, we touched on the brain injury part. I just wanted to briefly talk about that because this is an area I've got no real knowledge of at all.
Me neither.
So apparently I'll read this out. Depending on the injury, where and how severe, affected brain regions and pathways can damage emotional processing as well as regulation. Identifying mood states may be difficult if there's an injury in the prefrontal cortex and the anterior cingulate cortex. Such injuries may also affect empathy, emotional vocabulary, and insights, among other problems. That's all I want to say about that because I don't really understand it all. But I couldn't leave it out of the notes because it rounds it up in some ways.
Well, good.
Because with brain injury, it's much more difficult to address it, which is what I want to just look at now, really. And this is something which comes up in recovery as well about self-care. It seems to be one of the first things that you need to address. So going into recovery, self-care has gone out the window in the past, and suddenly you start to address it. So addressing alexithymia, that's self-care seems to be the first point that comes up, which again is in parallel with addiction, because that comes back into when you go into recovery, you start to show a bit of self-care, and it helps.
When you're in that situation, as you say there, all the time you've been in addiction, you've not been demonstrating any self-care, right?
No.
And so you come into recovery, and there's a necessity for you to show self-care. But how is it dealt with this? Because there's still this kind of gap between if you struggle to experience emotion and show emotion, understand emotion, how do you move from that position in recovery to suddenly being able to demonstrate an emotional care for oneself? Because you're right, it's necessary, but how do you help people do that in rehab?
It's almost a natural process.
You mean once you've got the drink out of the way, emotions
you
just come to the fore anyway?
They do. You take the drink and the drugs out. It's a bit like a dam bursting. It's been kept. Your emotions have been kept behind this wall, and you break the dam, and they come flooding through. Which is why most people would experience this horrible mind and brain rush for a few weeks. It sort of comes tumbling out, and it takes a while for the waters to settle. So self-care it's one of those little joys that you get in early recovery. It's something you can do almost straight away. You get up, you'll make your bed, for example, just a simple thing like that, and you start to brush your hair, and you start to shower again, and start to brush your teeth and shave. And
do you brush your hair?
Oh, not really. No, I was thinking about that because I haven't had a comb or a brush for many a year now. Which I used to have one in my top pocket back in the day.
Did you?
You'd have a comb, and I used to get it out like John Travolta in Grease and give it a sweep through. But that's a distant memory. So where were we? Yes. Oh, mindfulness. That was another one as a positive influence on people with this trait.
Oh, we haven't mentioned mindfulness for a while, have we?
We haven't. And it can help help people to learn and to describe how they feel, really, isn't it? Which is what you touched on earlier on.
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, that's kind of why I asked you that question about how you help people when they're first in recovery, because I think sometimes there's a space between those two steps for some people, maybe not people in recovery, but sometimes you have to teach people about emotion. I know it kind of sounds mad, but that's what those exercises, like the one I was talking to you about with the feelings word list and stuff, you have to get people to start to understand what they're feeling, to recognise it.
Right, yeah.
And give it a name.
Yeah.
Because, what you call frustration might not be what I call frustration. That's all right. But the importance is that you have a range of different descriptors for the different ways you feel. and that you recognize that this feeling of anger is not the same as that feeling of anger that you had yesterday, and therefore you might need to give it a different name. Maybe it's irritation or something, or do you know what I mean? So
I do.
So with a lot of people that I've worked with over the years, they need, almost like you're kind of back in school, they need to be supported through the development of an emotional vocabulary. And so what that does for people is, I think once they understand how to identify an emotion and what they call certain emotions, their confidence in being able to express themselves emotionally grows exponentially.
Yeah, no, that all makes perfect sense. It does make perfect sense. And certainly in the rehab I work at now, we use the therapeutic garden workshop, which includes art and pottery and all that sort of thing. It's brilliant for that.
It is.
Because of creative practices, like drawing. It can help people get in touch with their emotions, and it's amazing to watch people suddenly discover they have a bit of a penchant for drawing, or whatever they didn't realise they had or hadn't used it for a long time, and they will. And it's interesting to see how their emotions are expressed on paper.
Yeah, absolutely right. Because even if you don't have a particular ability for pottery or drawing or whatever,
Yeah.
for just being able to use your kind of right brain to express yourself is freeing. Because you're not having to put it into words. If you say to someone, just here's some crayons and some paper, draw how you feel, right? Just draw a picture, whatever it is. For a lot of people, the first kind of few minutes are terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, what are you talking about? I don't understand. But that's kind of part of freeing yourself, just to be unique. Because the way you feel about yourself, the feeling you attach to certain words is completely unique. It doesn't have to be the same as anybody else's. And
No,
I think
true.
part of learning emotional vocabulary is understanding that you don't have to mean the same thing as someone else means.
No, you don't. But by expressing it on paper, or indeed we use masks, blank masks, and people draw on there, and they're fascinating as an insight into how they're feeling about things, and also fascinating to see how that changes over the time they're in the rehab.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. And I was looked also if there's a way to sort of measure this particular trait, and there's a few assessment tools, which again I'd never heard of before, but the Toronto Alexithymia scale and the Bermond-Vorst Alexithymia questionnaire.
Really good.
Commonly used by clinicians.
I'm going to have a look at these because I've never used any sort of diagnostic tool for alexithymia, but that's quite interesting.
It says that the tools, because they rely on self-reports, it's best to use them in tandem with other assessments and clinical observations, but I think they are a useful tool. But I didn't look any further than knowing what they are.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you've mentioned those. That means that you're a useful tool as well.
Well, look, you made me cough now. The last bit, just to round this up, was there was a question: can therapy help a person with alexithymia? And it turns out that people like you are of great help in this area.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's like anything, isn't it? You know, therapy can help, won't always, and it won't always be the right answer for everybody. But yeah, I mean,
No, quite. But the help seemed to be rooted in cognitive behavioural therapy and psychodynamic therapy, and the studies show they've been effective for this particular trait. So good on you.
So
good on
basically,
people
we're
like
worth our
you.
money, is what you're saying.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, I don't like bigging you up, but well done you.
Thank you. Thanks. I'll take it.
Okay, well that's pretty much a good point to wrap up, because that's where my notes end anyway. So
I mean, it's really kind of non-negotiable then, isn't it?
it is. Yeah.
We are wrapping up.
We are wrapping up.
Yeah.
We're going to go on to our next feature, really,
All right, which is?
it's normally the conundrum feature at this point.
All right.
I don't know if you have one. If you have one lined up at the moment.
Yeah, I've got one for you. Is this related at all today? Not really. Should you be all right allowed to read the news without buying a newspaper? I mean, I'm not talking about the BBC website. I mean, you know, either going into a shop and browsing through the newspaper or reading the news online or whatever. Do you feel that's ethically right?
Well, I think a lot of us have drifted onto that, haven't we? Getting our news from different areas, and I think that the days of having to rely on a newspaper to get it are long gone. Whether it's was the question whether it's ethically right?
Well, I was thinking about. I mean, I know that some news sites now have got paywalls up, haven't they? So you can't
Yeah,
get there. But there are also still some that don't. And so
there are. I mean, I'd like to think that that it's not an ethical way of doing it, but I'm guilty. You know, I'll get my news from wherever I can if I want to look at the news.
So are we saying then that really it's incumbent upon the providers of the news to decide whether they're going to charge or not? And if they don't, that's too bad on them if we all suck it up for free.
Pretty much. I mean, that's what we've gone to, though, haven't we? We do that with their music, and we do that with their news, and we do that with the podcasts. You know, we don't charge people for listening to this.
No, I mean, music's a great example, actually, because there's been a lot of stuff in the press recently about how many plays you've got to get on Spotify to earn $1,000. It's like something like 300,000. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But the reason I asked the question is because I wonder where that leaves the arts in the long term. I mean, won't it disappear?
Yeah.
So who's going to be able to afford to be a musician if all music is purveyed via Spotify? And
it's not great. It isn't great, and I'd imagine people going into journalism is drifting away or certainly from the mainstream newspapers. I know their readership or their circulation of papers has dropped off dramatically. I mean, I can't remember the last time I bought a newspaper, which is going back to the 80s when we weren't allowed into nightclubs with jeans. I was a paper every day sort of person.
I still buy one on a Sunday.
I quite like that idea.
I like to have the Sunday paper, but yeah, I think it's a worry. In the same way as, you know, everybody buying everything through Amazon. Well, when everyone else is squeezed out, Amazon will just hike the prices, won't they? And we'll all be stuck with it.
Well, it's a monopoly, isn't it, at that point, which is, it's quite frightening.
It's a dystopian future is what it is.
It is. George Orwell was right, wasn't he? Although it's coming a little later than 1984, but it's on its way.
We won't hold that against him, though, will we?
No, we won't. We won't. He's a good lad.
So I think what we're saying then is it's probably incumbent upon the people who provide the information and the music and so on that we want. It's incumbent upon them to charge us for it.
It is really, but I think we've moved to that position where everyone seems to want everything for free. Everyone wants to earn more themselves and have other people earn less. So,
isn't that a problem, though?
It's a massive problem, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is a massive problem. But that's the area we've gone into, isn't it?
I read something yesterday that said that Netflix are now commissioning films and TV series that are specifically written for people who aren't paying any attention. So that they're kind of stipulating that in the scripts, rather than it just being dialogue, there has to be something in the script that makes it clear what that person's actually doing at that point, because a lot of the people who are playing it won't be watching the screen. I mean, it's like absolutely terrifying.
What do you mean? They're not... I don't understand that.
People put Netflix on when they're doing other stuff. They're not not sitting down and watching it. It's like, I'll just have that on the background. You know, in the past, we've talked about how people don't want to be in silence. Well, people use Netflix, don't they, for company?
Just for background
noise. I'll just stick Netflix on.
Yeah, I suppose you do, and have it on. I mean, the amount of people, and I've been guilty of it sometimes, you'll be watching something, but you're on your phone as well.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, there are probably people doing other things while they're listening to this.
Probably.
Absolute disgrace.
Well, no, driving along listening to it's okay.
Yeah, driving's okay because you probably can't do anything else. But if you happen to be, if you're watching Netflix whilst you're listening to this, we're not happy, are we?
No, we're not. No, we're furious. In fact, if I could express my emotions more strongly, I would.
You've incurred our wrath. Anyway, good.
Yes. So, okay, we put that one to bed-ish.
Yeah.
Not quite sure if we come to a complete answer on that, but...
Well, we can't, can we? Because that's what an ethical issue is. Don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah,
You take a position, don't you?
you do take a position. So really, gratitude list.
Yep. Is it me?
You can go first.
Air conditioning in cars.
Oh, that's strange because I've got a car one as well. Air conditioning in cars. Okay.
Well, I mean, this week's been so cold, isn't it? If you've got to get the car moving in the morning, which I'm
Yeah.
in a fortunate position of not having to do most days. In fact, any day.
Yeah.
But when I have wanted to go out in it, like this morning, being able to go out, turn the engine on, put the windscreen clearers on, go back in, finish my cup of tea while it does its job. Lovely. And they're so efficient these days. I'm sure back in the 80s when we couldn't wear jeans to nightclubs, but we could smoke in playing darts, they wouldn't have been anything like as efficient. And I find that a very helpful facility for someone ageing like myself.
Well, no, mine was exactly the same. Well, going back to the cold snap that we mentioned right at the start. My gratitude is around having heated seats and heated steering wheel.
I was gonna put heated seats on. Yeah, I've got a heated steering wheel, so
yeah. So it's that makes the driving experience more comfortable, especially when it's -5 outside.
Well, let me ask you about heated seats.
Okay.
Do you have several settings?
Yeah.
3?
Well, no. 2 settings. It's got high and low, really.
Okay, because I've got 3 settings of heated seats in my car, but really all but notch 1 is too warm. I don't want that heat. It's too hot, isn't it? Who wants that?
No, they don't. No, it's high or low. I tend to have it on low because it doesn't. The hot it really does roast your backside, doesn't it?
Yeah, like you're being grilled.
Yeah, exactly, and no one wants that, really.
And I'm not sure how I'd feel about a heated steering wheel. Talk me through that. Is that nice?
It's quite nice. I mean, do you remember back in the 80s when you weren't allowed to wear jeans in nightclubs?
And you could smoke playing darts.
You could smoke playing darts. Yeah. People would often buy a Christmas present for someone. They give them driving gloves.
Or you'd have one of those furry steering wheel covers.
You would. I remember my dad having one on his cars, and they were really cold before you got in. So I think it's I like it.
I remember the old vinyl seats in my Vauxhall Chevette.
Yeah, they were either freezing cold or they used to be sticky in the summer, didn't they? They were so hot.
Yeah, so things have come on leaps and bounds, haven't they, in the automotive industry?
They have. So I was grateful for that. I'm also grateful that my newest little grandson Isaac, he's doing very well and coming up to nearly a month old now in a couple of days' time. Or by the time this goes out, he'll have completed his first month on this earth.
Superb.
So I'm always grateful for that.
Superb. That's lovely.
The little ones being well.
Yeah. I was watching a documentary about the Beatles yesterday, and there was a little film clip from them on a TV show in England in December 1965, and I thought, I was 3 months old. Amazing, isn't it?
It is really, yeah.
Back, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I did watch. I watched one of the Beatles films recently. Was it Hard Day's Night? Something like that. Which is they
were talking about the filming of Help and how they were all stoned all the way through it.
It might have been Help I was watching. Yeah. Steptoe's father was in it, was it?
He was. Wilfrid Bramble.
Wilfrid Bramble was in it. Yeah, he's playing Paul McCartney's uncle or something, or granddad or something. Yeah. Yeah, lovely old films. Anyway, that's rather than just crack on because we could go on for a long time, couldn't we? Just reminiscing like that.
Probably, yeah.
We already have.
I don't think anyone would thank us for it, would they?
No, they wouldn't.
Notice the last episode was the first time we'd gone over the hour.
Was it? Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to rein that in a bit then. Well, I suppose if we're only doing it once every 2 weeks now, we're still getting our exposure time up, aren't we?
Exactly, yeah.
So the best-selling singles and FA Cup winners of certain years. So we got 81, 91, and 2001.
Already know I'm going to do poorly. Right. 81. I'm definitely going to need a hint.
Yeah, well, I can give you the group if you want to guess the single. Or
okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Because otherwise it's a poke in the dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very tricky. Well, it was Phil Oakey in his group.
Is it Electric Dreams?
No, it's not. No, but it's Human League. rather than Phil Oakey on his own.
Was it Don't You Want Me?
It is Don't You Want Me, yeah.
Excellent. I should have points for that then.
1981, biggest selling single for 1981.
I think I was at catering college.
I remember it coming out, and I liked it at the time. It's one of those tracks that's been completely overplayed over the years, but
I don't think I did like it at the time, but I probably like it more in retrospect because it would make me recall fondly getting absolutely hammered on Pernod and Black around Christmas when I was at college.
Yeah, I'm not sure that you should be recalling that in such a euphoric way, but it does. It does have a nostalgic touch to it, doesn't it? Well, all music does. We know that. I mean, it can transport you back to those exact moments.
Yeah, I mean that really is a terribly awful. That's an awful drink anyway.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it did the job.
Yeah, well, it did. But I was young and wild. You know, what can I tell you?
Exactly. But it takes me back to that particular track. Takes me back to going to a snowy day where we were going to this do up at the I can't remember, was it called the Queen's Club, which was up by the old Maidstone ground up.
Oh yeah, the squash club. The squash
club, yeah. And it was really snowy, and only a few of us managed to get through. So it was in this. It was like a disco going on, but there was like half a dozen of us that made it.
Really?
Yeah. And
you'd have made it, wouldn't you? Because there was probably a bar.
Exactly that. Yeah. So I'd have trudged through anything to get there. Yeah. So in that year, then 1981, do you remember who won the FA Cup?
No.
If I say Chaz and Dave.
Tottenham.
Exactly.
Did they beat Coventry?
No.
Man City.
Man City they beat, yeah.
Okay. Was this was it a 3-2-er?
It was. It went to a replay.
Excellent. I've done well there then.
You have, because it's, that's the, because I went to the replay, managed to get tickets. Yeah, to go to the replay.
You love Tottenham. Can't believe it.
I don't love Tottenham or Man City, but we managed to get tickets and go to watch the replay, which was quite magnificent.
Is one of Chaz or Dave dead?
Yes.
No. Which one?
I think it's Dave that's dead, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Is Dave the thinner of the two? Dave
was the one on the piano, I think, wasn't he?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember which way. It's like Ant and Dec. Get them mixed up. They're synonymous. But
okay, good. I've done very, very well there. I'm quite pleased with myself.
You did. You got out of 20 points. So I gave you Human League, but you got 5 for the track, 5 for Spurs, 5 for Man City. Anyway, so 1991. Now this was a track that it's not surprising it was the biggest selling one because it was at number one for so long. Everyone was screaming at the radios back in the day.
So was it one that kind of garnered a lot of discontent as well?
Absolutely, it was at the end, yeah.
Was it Bryan Adams?
It was.
Everything I do it for you.
Exactly that.
I am on fire this morning.
Are on fire today.
Good. So that was the theme from Robin Hood.
It was from Robin. Was it Prince of Thieves or was that another one?
Prince of Thieves. Yeah.
Do you remember how many weeks it was at number one for?
Well, I don't really, but I'm going to say 23.
16.
That's what I meant. I meant 16. What I meant was 23 minus 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those tracks, wasn't it, that initially you thought, oh, that's quite a nice little tune. Then you thought, my God, it's awful. It just dragged on and on.
You wouldn't have been a big fan of Bryan Adams anyway, would you?
No.
No.
And then, so what in that year, then 1991, who won the cup that year? Who did they beat? Think of Chaz and Dave again.
Was it Tottenham?
It was.
Did they beat 91? Well, Man United would have been good then. Man United?
No, it's Nottingham Forest, actually.
Oh, I don't remember that final at all. Oh, hang on, I do. Perhaps was that the year that West Ham lost in the semi-final or the quarter-final to Forest?
Yeah, in the semis we lost, didn't we?
In the semis, yeah, that's right.
I think Tony Gale got sent off and we got done 4-0.
That's right, I remember. Yeah. Oh well, never mind.
Never mind. But yes, that was. See, with Chaz and Dave, because they had a song called "It's Lucky for Spurs When the Year Ends in One."
Yeah, that's right. Because they always used to say they always win something when the year ends in one, but then they don't, do they?
They did. Well, they won. I think they won the cup and the league in 61. 71 they didn't, but 81 and 91. So it's enough. It's enough for a song lyric, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah. Just about.
And then 2001. It's a bit surprised this one was the best-selling single of the year, but in the UK, but it
You're
was.
probably going to have to give me a hint.
I am. I'll give you the artist. It was Shaggy.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Exactly. Yeah, the best-selling single of the year. I mean,
Was it really? That is surprising.
It is surprising, isn't it? But I'll give you the 5 points for it. It wasn't me.
Okay, good.
What about the cup final that year? It starts to get shady for me in the 2000s.
Yeah, well, I don't remember anyway. But the team that came into my head was Everton.
No, they're neighbours.
Liverpool. Liverpool beat
the team that's won it most of all, really.
Arsenal.
They beat the Arsenal.
Okay.
I don't remember
this. I don't remember anything about them. I mean, I don't remember anything much about FA Cup finals.
Well, I used to be obsessed with them as a kid.
Yeah.
So, like during the 70s, I can recall every moment of the 70s and perhaps early 80s. But then you have other things. By
2001, you were
2001 is when
vodka, weren't you?
I was entering my wilderness years. So during that time, I could barely see the telly, let alone know what was going on it. But I think overall you've done very well on the quiz.
I think I have. Yeah, I feel quite pleased with myself.
That's about 35 points. So I reckon I can allocate you there.
Probably going to go and celebrate now.
Please do, with a nice cup of tea.
Coffee.
Coffee. That's what I've got on the go. I've got mine, the percolators full up with some nice ground coffee.
Nice.
Using my coffee grinder.
Yeah.
Which is ideal. And that's about it, mate.
All right. Well, I'll see you next time.
See you next week. No, fortnight's time, probably, yes.
Stay warm.
And you. See you later.
Laters.
Bye.
Bye. Sideways was created by Graham Landy and Martin Pankhurst. If you want to read more about our work or sort through the extensive archive of past episodes, just visit grahamlandy-wellbeing.co.uk/sideways-podcast. You can follow us on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram at Sideways Podcast, and you can email us if you have a question or if there's something you'd like us to cover. But most of all, we want to tell you how grateful we are that you come and listen, and we ask that if you've enjoyed what you've heard, that you spread the word. And we'll see you next week.